Hello, you beautiful people! So, as you all already know, in the next patch, which is going to be version 3.5 of HSR, we're going to get a total of 2 new characters, namely Hysilens and Cerydra, and honestly, I know a lot of people are confused whether these characters are even good or are they just bad. To solve that though, in this video, I'm mainly going to go over the kits of both Hysilens and Cerydra in brief, and at the same time, I'll help you decide whether these characters are worth saving for or not. Honestly though, I would say that patch 3.5 is one of those patches where both the new characters have a really unique kit, which is like a breath of fresh air. I mean, sometimes, even I get tired of saying that every new patch has a new top-tier DPS and the next support which is going to break the game. Don't get me wrong here, we are getting a new DPS/support hybrid and a pure support type character in patch 3.5, but this time, what their kits provide and add to the game is very different from what we've seen before. Cerydra basically introduces a whole new mechanic to the game, which is actually pretty niche, but really good for any character that can use it, and in the future, we might even get a new unit who literally breaks the game by abusing this mechanic. Hysilens, on the other hand, is a DOT character, and yes, DOT characters actually exist and aren't just a myth, even though Hysilens is our first DOT-focused character in a year and a half, with the last one being Black Swan, who was released in patch 2.0. In my opinion, her being a DOT character already makes her really interesting because DOT characters are quite rare, and I'm genuinely pretty excited to break both of their kits down and help you decide who to pull for in the next patch. Before we begin, let me just mention the usual disclaimer that this version of their kits is not the final one, and they're definitely going to get even better in the upcoming weeks, but the main concepts and mechanics of their kits are going to remain the same. With that being said, let's begin without wasting any more of your time or energy. Alright, I'm going to start with Hysilens first just because I feel like it, and I have to say, she has been one of the most anticipated characters, especially for us DOT enjoyers. As we've been suffering for literal ages at this point with an incomplete team, and we all had really high expectations from the next DOT character, right? Well, Hysilens does live up to these expectations quite exceptionally, and she honestly does like way more stuff that we could have ever asked for. Firstly, she has water-based animations, so she already gets extra points for that because all of her animations look ethereal and her design is also top tier in my opinion. Actually, you remember the day when she got drip marketed and how everyone was saying that she needs to save the DOT playstyle? Yeah, that actually turned out to be true because at this point, I can confidently say that she is the savior of DOT. Starting with her skill, it debuffs all the enemies on the field, making them take more damage, and now on top of that, her ultimate further debuffs the enemies by creating a beautiful zone, which reduces the defense of the enemies by 25%. Fun fact, her ultimate actually provides more defense shred than some really high-value Eidolons like Ruan, Maze E1, and Sparkles E2, and I think that should explain why her ultimate and her overall base kit is really good. Her ultimate has another unique property as well, where she reduces the attack of the enemies by 15%, and I know this probably seems useless to most of you, but I can guarantee that all the sustainless enjoyers are literally salivating right now. I know I keep talking about her ultimate again and again, but it's pretty much the core of her kit and her main damage source as well. Basically, when the enemies inside her ultimate zone take DOT damage, the zone makes these enemies take additional physical DOT damage. Now let me just say that the multiplier for this additional damage is rather low, but the catch here is that this damage can be triggered up to a total of 8 times per turn, and this means that if you have 8 different types of DOTs applied on the enemy, Hysilens will multiply this additional damage by 8 times. You can probably imagine how much damage she deals after multiplying it 8 times, and she pretty much hits like a truck. Her talent is also like a really essential part of her kit though, as it ties everything together by essentially applying 4 separate DOTs on the enemies at all times. Sounds broken for a DOT character, right? Well, yeah, it is a really good talent for the DOT application, and it also helps her in utilizing the additional damage from her ultimate quite easily. Overall, I would say that on paper, her kit looks somewhat complicated, but it's genuinely really simple, while being very strong in practice as well. She is also one of those characters who is really easy to build, as she essentially only needs effect hit rate, speed, and attack. Lastly, talking about light cones, she does have some alternative free-to-play light cones like Eyes of Prey, which I'm guessing literally everyone has by now. All in all, I honestly think Hysilens is an amazing character, and if you're already a DOT enjoyer, or if you're interested in playing DOT, just pull her without even thinking twice. If your account doesn't have DOT characters though, especially Kafka, her value does drop really low, but you can grab both Hysilens and Kafka in patch 3.5, which is pretty nice. Moving on, by this point, we all know that Hysilens in her niche is strong, but let's talk about another character who is way too good in her niche, and of course I'm talking about Cerydra. Her kit is one of the most unique supportive kits I have seen in HSR, especially compared to all the other supports. She has a special mechanic of her own which already makes her stand out, but even fundamentally, her kit is kind of weird, but in a good way. For example, Robin has her team-wide action advance, Tribby has her constant follow-up attacks and team-wide buffs, Sunday and Bronya have their 100% action advance, and as for Cerydra, she kind of just does it all at the same time. She buffs the speed of a particular ally instead of manipulating actions, gives a decent amount of damage buffs, and while she doesn't have a proper action advance, her unique special mechanic more than makes up for it. Starting with her skill, it's the core of her kit, or you can say the most important part of her kit, and makes up most of her functionality. So basically, when she uses her skill on a particular ally, she gives a unique effect to this ally called peerage, and this effect can stack in different ways. Firstly, when this ally with the effect uses their basic attack or skill, Cerydra gains 1 stack. Now, when she uses her own skill or her ultimate, she gains a stack as well, and these peerage stacks can be stacked up to a total of 6 times. When she finally gets 6 peerage stacks, Cerydra activates her special mechanic and provides a buff to this ally, which makes it so that when this ally uses their skill, Cerydra essentially copies their skill and makes them cast it twice. You can probably tell that is a broken mechanic, but really niche at the same time, because it's particularly made for units who use their skill as their main source of damage. I would say though, her mechanic does sound more niche on paper than it actually is, because so many characters do deal a pretty decent amount of damage from their skill, and even the non-obvious units like My Day would love to use his enhanced skill twice in a row. Although I won't really recommend pairing My Day together with Cerydra due to the next part of her kit, which is her talent. So, her talent essentially says that if an ally has the peerage effect applied on them, Cerydra grants this ally an attack boost, and this boost is based on 24% of Cerydra's own attack. This is genuinely a crazy amount of attack to give in just a normal buff, and an average Cerydra will easily grant over 1000 attack to this particular ally, and you can have a permanent uptime on this buff as well. I think by now, it should be pretty obvious that Cerydra is really strong in her niche, but it's kind of funny that this is her main drawback as well. She is just very niche at the moment, and only catered for a few characters like Phainon, Archer, and Anaxa. Dude, in the latest changes, they actually added a part to her kit, which makes it so that Cerydra grants an all-type resistance penetration to the skill damage dealt by the ally with the peerage effect. Now this sounds pretty decent at first, but the thing is, she only grants this resistance penetration if she is in a departed state, and Phainon is quite literally the only character in the game who can send her in this state by using his ultimate. Yeah, they technically gave her a buff, but there is only one character in the whole game who can use this buff. Welp, I think with that, I've discussed and explained the kits of both Cerydra and Hysilens briefly. Overall, if you already have Kafka on your account or if you're interested in playing DOT, I would definitely recommend going for Hysilens. If you don't have Kafka though, or if you don't have enough pulls to pull for both of them in the next patch, the value of Hysilens does drop quite a bit. On the other hand, if you don't play any skill-based DPS characters, I think skipping Cerydra won't be too impactful on your account, but if you do play Archer, Anaxa, or Phainon, I would say picking up Cerydra would be a really good choice. Personally though, I'll wait before their kits are finalized, because I have a feeling that they are going to make Cerydra way better than she is right now, and she might even become one of the most valuable characters. Do tell me in the comments which character you're going to pull for in patch 3.5, or if you're skipping the patch entirely. Also, I didn't mention it before as it gets annoying, but if you liked the video, then do consider subscribing. With that being said, I love you all and I will see you in another one.